the difference from snitching and being a concerned citizen. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. The streets stay violent if we remain silent. So make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. We can't be afraid, we praying for better days. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It ain't up to the police, it's up to you and me to make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It's the difference from snitching and being a concerned citizen. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. The streets stay violent if we remain silent. So make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. We can't be afraid, we praying for better days. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It ain't up to the police, it's up to you and me to make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It's the difference from snitching and being a concerned citizen. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. The streets stay violent if we remain silent. So make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. We can't be afraid, we praying for better days. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all.
Welcome to Make the Call. I'm Judge Cordell, your host of Make the Call, a unique program that asks you to step up and contact the East Palo Alto Police Department if you have information that can help solve cold murder cases. Call 1-888-MURDER-0. When East Palo Alto was incorporated in 1983, it didn't have a police department. Sheriff's deputies patrolled the streets. We've come a long way since then. East Palo Alto now has its own police department under the leadership of Chief Ron Davis. Chief Davis and his officers have made a huge and positive difference in East Palo Alto. It is because of Chief Davis's commitment to this city that he started the Make the Call program. He knows that we need you, members of our community, to step up and speak up if you have information that can bring these murderers to justice. That's what Make the Call is all about. If you aren't convinced to make the call yet, it is our hope that you will be after you hear from the families of some of the city's murder victims. Their stories are heart-wrenching, and if you have a heart, you will come forward. No one should get away with murder, not anywhere, and definitely not in our town. Our first murder victim profile is of Edmund Beverly. Detective Nua Lualamaga has the details.
On June 24, 2012, at approximately 1:08 in the afternoon, East Palo Alto police officers were dispatched to a ShotSpotter activation along the 2300 block of Glenway in the city of East Palo Alto. Upon arrival, officers discovered a crime scene suggesting that a victim had been shot at the scene. Officers canvassed the scene for victims and were able to locate one. Several hours passed, and officers were once again dispatched to the 2300 block of Glenway on a man down. Upon arrival, officers discovered 31-year-old Edmund Jermaine Beverly suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. Fire and medics arrived on scene and later pronounced him deceased at the scene. The East Palo Alto Police Department is asking for your help to any people who have any leads or anyone who are witnesses to come forward and to help us in solving this crime for Mr. Beverly.
Thank you, Detective. I welcome Maria Beverly, Edmund's mother, his sister Aisha, and his niece Vaisha McGee. The family has come forward to talk about Edmund's life and about his traumatic death. I thank you for coming on Make the Call, and let me first say that I am so sorry for your loss. Let's start, if you will, by if you'll tell us about Edmund, and I'm going to start with his mom. What was he like?
Edmund was a, Edmund was a great child. He was a great brother, great uncle, and he was just great as far as I was concerned.
What was he like growing up?
He was the most funniest kid growing up. It was always a challenge. You tell him, because when he grew up in Texas, and we had this little wall heater that was on the floor, and he was in his walker, and you would tell him, you know, don't touch, it's hot.
Right.
And he would, he'd look at you and he'd go, hot? Like, yeah, it's hot. and then he touched it. So he had to find out that it was hot by itself.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
that's the kind of person Edmund was.
So, Aisha, tell us more about your brother.
Oh my gosh, he was loving, caring. It was not, he had no worries at all. All he did was walk his dog and play with cars. He loved cars. Chevy Camaros was his favorite.
Is that right? I see you have a shirt on. Is that a picture of your brother?
That's him with his babe. He called her the babe. His
That's
car.
the babe, the car,
That's
the
the
red
babe.
car.
Yes.
Wow. And how many brothers and sisters are there?
I have one brother and one sister. I'm sorry, two brothers and one sister.
Right.
Yeah.
And Baisha, you're his niece. What do you remember about your uncle?
We would play, and this one day we were driving to Target. He was just making jokes, and we were hearing music, and sometimes like we would be playing, he would squeeze my knees and it would tickle a lot.
You love your brother, your uncle?
Yeah.
Yeah. We also, and I thank you for providing us with this, we have photographs. Because we want our viewers to understand that this was a person who was a very important part of your lives. And as the photos come up, you can see them on the monitor, and perhaps you could then tell us what's happening as we look at each of the photos. So, what's there? What's happened there?
High school graduation.
And what high school?
God, it was. I don't remember.
What city was he?
It was in Stockton.
Stockton.
Stockton,
All right, he
California.
graduated. He's happy.
Yeah.
Very happy there.
Yeah.
Let's see what the next photo. And how
Showing
about
off
that
his
one?
babe
Is
shirt.
that the babe?
That's
Yeah,
the babe.
that's
That's
the-
his birthday, actually.
It's his 29th birthday.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. And is that a jacket? Is that?
No,
yeah.
that's a shirt.
It's a shirt. And he has it up on
In the front it says "Picture me rolling," and it has his car on the back.
It says babe under it.
All
Yeah.
right. How about this one? What's happening there?
That's his nephew. He had just actually got out of jail, and he was in his nephew's car actually, and we stayed about 2 or 3 blocks from the store, and he rode that thing all the way to the store.
He rode that little
That
car.
thing
that
to
little
all the
car.
way to the
And he
store.
had to walk it back because the battery went dead.
And that one?
Him and his girlfriend at the beach. He's the water child.
Oh, really? He loved
Yes,
the water?
Love the water.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one?
Him and his dog.
That's a nice
He was walking the day.
That's a lovely photo. Wow. And I think we have, see if there's one more photo. I'm not sure if there's one more. Yeah, here we are.
Him and his dad.
That's him and his dad.
Wow.
Pop.
He had just came from somewhere, and his dad walked in, and they always had cameras, and he goes, "Pops, get in this picture," and that's what happened.
Lovely photo.
Yeah.
So, the questions get a little tougher here, but I want people to know that this has some real serious impact here on this family. How did you find out that your son had been killed?
Officer Noah and another detective, I don't quite remember his name, and my pastor now, Pastor Paul Baines, came to my house, and
Was it in the evening, morning? What happened?
it was in the evening. It was a little after 4 or 4:30, around 4:30.
And what happens? There a knock on the door? or
Yeah,
something? And-
they knocked on the door, and she answered the door.
Aisha did?
Yes, Aisha answered the door, and
And Aisha, did you know something was wrong right away? Yes? So what happened? They came in the house and
I walked off.
so you just knew something wasn't
Yeah.
right. So what happened? How did they?
she asked, "Where is my brother?" That's what she said. "Where is my brother? What happened to my brother?"
So you just kind of knew, Aisha, is that right? And then what happened?
They asked me to sit down, and I couldn't sit down. So I just wanted it over with. Tell me what you need to tell me, so we could get this over with.
And
Yeah.
So,
And they kept asking me to sit down, and I told them no, I wasn't
and this
sitting.
detective
Yes.
was here with, right?
Yes.
And then what happened? They told
He
you?
told me, and I kept asking him, was he sure it was Edmund? And he kept saying, yes, ma'am, he had ID. I described what he had on, and he said, unfortunately, it was Edmund.
So as of this point, nobody has come forward to say, okay, I think I know who did it. And what message do you have to those people? to our viewers who might know somebody? What's your message?
My message is that you guys need to make the call. You need to come forward and let the officers know. Call East Palo Alto Police Department, call my pastor, anybody, and let them know what happened.
I thank all three of you for coming on this program. It takes courage to do this, particularly when you have so much pain. So thank you so much for being here. If you have information about the murder of Edmund Beverly, make the call. It's that simple to bring justice and peace to this family. It's 1-888-MURDER-0. And if you don't have a phone, or if you don't want to use the phone to make the call, you can visit the Make the Call website at www.makethecalltv.com, where you can send in an anonymous tip. On the website, you can watch all of the previous episodes on Make the Call, where we featured profiles of other murder victims. Watch this.
Have you ever looked around you and seen there's no change? Everyone around you still doing the same things. People need to hope in their minds, contemplate on those really good times. All the fighting, all the killing, you know it can't do the world any healing. We have to reach into ourselves, the greatness that our ancestors held. Begin with education, never hurts to be done with determination. I see all this dreadful violence, mothers and babies dying. This can't be the way, some should be ashamed. It's time to look ahead, no more jail or 18 and dead. It's time to make a future, so listen up all my brothers and sisters.
Our second murder victim profile is of Ernesto Valverde. Detective Angel Sanchez of the East Palo Alto Police Department has the details.
On January 29, 2011, at approximately 1:51 in the morning, East Palo Alto police officers were called to the 1900 block of Capitol Avenue for a shooting victim. When they arrived, they found a 38-year-old victim sustained a gunshot wound to his upper body. The victim was deceased at the scene. At this point, we have no witnesses that have come forward, and the East Palo Alto Police Department is asking for the community's assistance in solving this murder.
Thank you, Detective. Filberto Valverde is Ernesto's brother. Imelda Arreola is Ernesto's cousin, and Saul Bastidas is his cousin-in-law. All three are here to talk about Ernesto's life and about his untimely death. I thank all three of you for joining me, and lo siento mucho, I'm very sorry for your loss. So my first question to you all, and I'll start with Filberto, his brother, Ernesto's brother, is what was he like? What kind of a person was Ernesto?
Era una persona muy seria, muy tranquila. Le gustaba mucho jugar voleibol. Nos reuníamos toda la familia jugando voleibol. A él le gustaba mucho los niños. Le gustaba mucho jugar en el parque con ellos. Era una persona muy seria. No tenía problemas con nadie. Él es una persona muy recordada en mí. Yo siento que todavía no lo puedo creer que él está muerto.
And so, will you translate for us, please?
He was a real serious guy. He used to play volleyball with his brother in the park with the nephews and the rest of the family. He was real close with him. As the only brother, he was in USA with him. They was both of them, they were real close, and he was real close to her too.
So, Imelda, can you tell us what you remember about Ernesto?
Él, de hecho, yo me crié con él porque mi abuelita me crió a mí y juntos nos criamos. Él era muy buena persona, él nunca, si alguien lo regañaba, él nomás agachaba su cabeza. Nunca no se enojaba, nomás él era muy trabajador, él fue muy buen hijo.
Saul?
He was, they grew up together with Brahma. Then he was a real nice guy, close to the family, and he was hardworking. He used to take care of the parents.
So I want to go back to Filberto for a moment and ask how many brothers and sisters you have in your family, and then tell us about your relationship with Ernesto.
Solo somos 3, quedamos 2, y tengo otros 4 medios hermanos, pero el Ernesto y 2 más éramos hermanos, so quedamos 2 y 4 medios hermanos.
Saul?
There was 3 brothers. The 3 brothers, they lost her mom when he was 2 years, like probably a year and a half, and they have 6 stepbrothers. But they're 3 real brothers, and now it's 2 brothers.
Just
after.
2 now.
Yeah.
All right. And so, what do you remember about Ernesto?
We used to work. I used to work in a company. He was the janitor in there all the time. I used to see in the hallways, bathrooms. He used to drive with a little golf car all the time, laughing and all the stuff. Every time I see him, I say, "I'll be in this place today. Go see me, and I give you the lunch for him." Every time, if you tell something to him, "Oh, Ernesto, why you not came home? We have a party and this and that." Oh, he was laughing. He never get real serious to us or something like that. He was laughing most of the time, or he just bring his face down. Yeah.
So I know that we have 2 photographs of Ernesto, and they're going to be up on the screen there. And there's one photograph there. And Filberto, can you see Ernesto there on the screen? So where was that taken and when?
Como 4 años o 5 años atrás, en un parque donde él estaba trabajando, en un parque de golf, aquí en el 92. Se la tomó ahí hace como aproximadamente como unos 5 años.
The picture it was taken by it was a golf course or he worked of 92.
Is it a golf course?
Golf course. Yeah. He was around like 5 years ago.
Your brother Ernesto looks very much like you. Yeah.
Muchos nos dicen que somos hermanos, gemelos.
They say, a lot of people, they say they're twins.
Yeah, they look very much alike. And we have another photograph, I understand, of Ernesto that'll be on the monitor. And there's another one. And Filberto, do you remember when that one was taken or where he was?
Yo pienso que también es en otro parque después que jugamos voleibol. No estoy muy seguro, pero la verdad no he tenido mucho tiempo de chequear bien las fotos, pero...
He's not sure if he's in the park after they play volleyball.
Right. Wow. You do look so much alike. Wow, you must miss your brother very much.
Yeah.
Wow. So no one has come forward to as a witness to talk about, so we can find the person who did this to your brother and to your cousin and to your cousin-in-law. So how do you feel about that nobody's talking? Imelda?
¿Listo?
Pues me siento triste. Cuando recibimos la noticia, cuando nos llamaron, fue el que menos esperaba de que le pasara algo así, porque pues él era muy serio, muy amigable, y nos sentimos tristes y...
We feel sad because he was a serious person. He never had a problem with anybody. And when that morning they called us, to give you the news what happened to him, and we cannot believe. I don't believe in that.
I want to ask Filberto, how did you find out that your brother had been murdered?
¿Cómo supiste tú que?
Me dieron la noticia Especialmente él me la dio por teléfono y yo no lo podía creer. Y cuando él me estaba dando la noticia, me hablaron, a unas personas de la policía llegaron a decirme.
I give the call that morning. I was start working that day when Imelda, she called me and she say it's all this happened to Ernesto. And then I came home and I told her, you know, we have to find out his brother. And then that day I went to his father-in-law. I was looking for him. We don't have his number because we know was real close before this happened. And then I called him and we start talking. And
Horrible.
yeah.
So as we close, what message do you have for the people who are watching this program?
Quiero pedirle a la comunidad de East Palo Alto o Melopar, no sé qué es. Quiero agradecerles a las personas que saben algo, que por favor, de corazón, hablen. Él era una muy buena persona. Le pido a toda la gente que por favor, con el corazón, mis papás están muy dolidos y me gustaría que se hiciera justicia, porque la verdad es muy difícil. Para mí, esto yo ya lo estoy superando, es difícil, pero me gustaría porque hay muchas personas más, esa persona anda suelta y hay mucha muy buena gente, pero hay mala gente en la calle y acaban de matar a otro amigo mío ahí mismo y me gustaría que, ojalá que la gente, por favor, le pido con el corazón que apoye.
Anyone for the community of Melopar, East Palo Alto, if anyone, you know, get the phone and give you a call to the police and they can talk about if we can find someone we can close the case.
Right. I thank the three of you for having the courage to come speak out, and I hope that the pain that you're feeling and the love you had for Ernesto is going to touch the hearts of somebody out there watching this program who has some information, because all they need to do is call. So, muchas gracias to all three of you. Thank you so much for coming on Make the Call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's so simple. You can help the East Palo Alto Police Department and bring some comfort to this grieving family simply by making the call. You would want someone to do the same for you if someone in your family were murdered, right? So make the call, 1-888-MURDER-0. On Sunday, October 14th, 2012, residents of East Palo Alto held a Stop the Violence Peace March and Rally in the aftermath of the murders of 21-year-old Christopher Baker and 24-year-old Lonnie Brown, both of whom were murdered on the same day, October 5th. Watch this.
Hey everyone. We're going to be lining up and we're going to be going to take our city back. We're not going to sing, we shall overcome. We're going to sing, we're going to get it done. Is that right? Right. Glory. We're not going to ask for it, we're going to take it.
When we say free, we're talking about free of violence. That's right. We shall all be free. Yes. We shall all be free. We shall all be free someday. Yes. Deep in my heart, I do believe.
No more killing! No gangs, no drugs! No gangs, no drugs! No gangs, no drugs! No gangs, no drugs! Are you here? Yes, I'm here. Let me hear you. Are you here? I'm here. Are you here for the young people? Oh, yeah, me too. Are you here for the old people? Oh, yes. Are you here for community? Oh, yes. Yes, because that's what it's all about in East Palo Alto, right? Yes. Right. 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 We have have some problems, right? Big ones. But we come together to address our problems, right? Yeah. We have children, right? Oh, yes. But we come together to save our children, right? We don't want to lose any more young men in this community. Ooh, yes. Oh, I don't think you mean that. I do. Do you mean it? Oh, yes. Haven't we lost enough? Too many. Oh, my God, I got a grandson. Me too. He's 6. Hey. What does he have to look forward to in East Palo Alto if we don't stop this now? And you know what? The only way to stop it is doing what we're doing today. Come together. So thank you for the young people and the not so young people who decided something had to be said.
Honestly, what happened to me that weekend was I lost 2 lights in my life. And we talking about murders like 6 murders, 7 murders. What are we talking about people. Yeah. We talking about people right now. You know what I mean? And I'm just hoping that somebody else is feeling the same that I'm feeling like this can't happen no more. It don't matter what side you on, we in the G-ville, these is all my brothers. That's my brother right there. That's my brother right there, Bob. That's my grandpa, I would say. You know what I mean? This is my family, this is my community. I see y'all, I give y'all love every time I see y'all. I try to. I try my hardest. You know what I mean? Because I love my community. Give back. All the work I do is funneled. My spirit is giving it to this community, East Palo Alto. And I'm just seeing my brothers die around me. I'm talking about Box, Slim. I'm talking about Chris Baker. These are names. People know these names. And they're gone. I'm going to have to go to 2 more funerals this year. 2 more. You know what I mean? And if anybody feeling the same way I'm feeling, all I can tell you is keep doing you, positive. Keep going to school. Keep taking care of your grandma. Keep loving your kids. Keep looking in their eyes and knowing that there's something else for you to live for. You know what I mean? But I love y'all. And just keep supporting this community and keep supporting these young brothers because they need us. They really do. They need us. I come back from Berkeley to hear that my partner got gunned down. You feel me? Like, how does that make me feel? I come home from a dance battle, going out to Fairfield to let other people see me and my talent, what I like doing, and come home and see people do that to my partners, like people I grew up with, dudes that we all went to Kelly Park and went to the swimming pool with. I got this little verse I want to say for y'all. They call me Fluid Movement. That's my rapper name. Yes, I rap, I dance too, just to remind y'all. But let me it goes something like this.
Speak louder too, Adrian.
You see, I rap about what I see, hoping one day the tables turn. In this battle, getting evil with lack of knowledge, you'll crash and burn. Me, of course, I had to learn. Stuck up in the middle, trying to reach my sanity. What is planned for me? Gotta go get it. No, I'm chilling. I am gonna be the opposite of constant. Sharpen my pencil, what down on my conscience. And most people blinded. Polite that they live and surviving but grinding. And you know I gotta get it. Ever since a kid being on my grown man tip. You can see I've been there, done that, and I don't really wanna hang with the dudes who be trying to check persona. Back up on with my bull, and I'm on my trying to be cool tip. No bust around, but I bust a flow. Mop a brother up like a dusty flow. Invest trust in me, no bank account. Mind going crazy what I'm thinking about. Say I think too much, say I speak too much. People listen to me, hood preaching much. But back to my grind, no skateboard. All I got is these beats, and a rhyme so unique. Focus on your dream, keep your eyes off the streets. Fast life, living ain't really all what it seems. Don't be swayed to the ways of a crooked man. Stay true to yourself always, all day. Always, all day. Stay true to yourself always, all day. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's it. Floyd.
I'm frustrated because we can be a great city. Yeah. Right. But it takes everybody to be a part of it. I'm not in the game, so I don't know those that are in the game. But I care. That's why I'm here. That's right, sister. I figure you care. That's why you're here. If you didn't care and you just came to look to be a looky-loo, thank you for being here. But if you can get to those that are causing the problem, that's where we need to be. Let's not forget the families that are hurting and suffering. Mothers are going to lay their sons to rest, people. is significant. I don't even know, I can't say I know how anybody feels because my son is at home. But am I afraid when my son gets on his bike and decides to go to the store and he's gone for too long? I worry. If I don't hear from him, I'm on the phone, where are you? East Palo Alto shouldn't be like that because that's not how we were. I remember being able to walk from the Gardens to Menlo Park and watch basketball and not worry about if I was going to make it home. We are family. We are a community. I know you care because you're here. We have sign-up sheets that are going around right now because this can't stop in the park. We can't march to the park and say, everybody, we care, now we're going to go home, nothing else is going to happen. Right. What happens next? How do we figure out the problem? In order to fix the problem, we have to figure out the problem with these young people. Where are we going to get the solution if we're not talking to the young people? The people that need to hear me right now aren't out here. But there are people out here who know who are causing the problems. You can reach those who are causing the problems. When you see a young person standing on the street selling drugs, why aren't we telling them they shouldn't be doing that? We can't live off of that crime. We can't say it's okay. It's not okay. Our children should be able to go to the park and we shouldn't worry about it. I should be able to walk wherever I want in this community and feel safe. And I know it's not a lot of those that are causing the problem. It's a small group. Where I will not be hostage to a small group.
Make some change in the violence. We have to speak to the streets. And just how, I'm sure everybody listens to the radio. They play that same song every hour on the hour. Just how I'm speaking in this phone right now, I want y'all to imagine this. Just imagine if the city council, they put together something in every major area where a lot of stuff is going on. If they put up megaphones and it says, now that's futuristic right there. Just imagine if it said, no guns, no violence, every hour on the hour. Just imagine that. And that'll get into people's brains. All the young kids out there, they will hear that every day, man. And that's real talk.
Pastor Bain said I work with Ceasefire. Tries to get people who are involved in violence to turn their lives around. We provide them support services and mentorship through our pastors. But something else we're trying to do is really get community members who have the ears of these young men and women to sit down with them, not turn them into the police, but sit down with them and let them know we love you and we want you to change your life. And we can have that message coming from the police department. We can have that message coming from the city government, but that is not genuine to the young men. We need their uncles, their aunts, their big brothers to sit down and talk to them. So I don't want to talk anymore. I just want to say I am looking for people who want to talk down. I will support you and whatever you want to do. If you say I want to talk to a group of young men, but I need more resources, I will try my hardest to work with you on that. Just let me know that you want to, let me know you got the ear of some of these young people, and I will do what I can to support you and help you do it better.
I want to ask, as we pray here, if we could all grab somebody's hand and invite you. Lord, I thank you for this community, for the power of the love that is here, that is undeniable, Lord. And Lord, as we just thank you for everything that's been said, for the hearts that have been stirred here, and for the hope that we have. We recall two of your promises, Lord. The first promise being, blessed are those that mourn, for they shall be comforted.
Yes.
And Lord, we pray your comfort on those here who have lost dear ones, Lord, and friends, family. Yes. Lord, we pray for your comfort to just come and just bring a sense of solace, Lord.
On each of our Make the Call programs, we feature programs and organizations that are working to make a positive difference in East Palo Alto. On today's program, we're pleased to feature 1,000 Mothers to Prevent Violence. To talk about their mission and the challenges they face in preventing violence in the community are Lorraine Taylor, the founder and CEO of Mothers to Prevent Violence, and Alfreda Bracksher and Betty Wilson, members of the organization. What these mothers have in common is that each has lost a child to gun violence. Welcome and thank you for what you do for the community. So I'm going to start off asking you all a very tough question. And I know that our viewers are going to want to know this. Each of you, as I said earlier, has lost a son to gun violence. And I ask you now, will you tell us what your stories are? What happened to each of your sons? And I'm going to start with Lorraine.
Yes, Judge Lodoris, it is very difficult, but it was on February 9th. I got a call from my son, Gregory, and he said, Mom, I want you to stop what you're doing and pray for strength. And I did.
What year was that?
That was in the year 2000. February 9th, 2000 is when I got the call, but it was on February 8th. I learned that my twin sons, both of them, Abadi and Obadiah, college students, were working on a car when someone used an AK-47 and took their lives. They were both working and in college. And that tragedy crippled my life. Even with a master's degree, I was not able to read nor write. For a long time, I suffered a nervous breakdown. And something I would never want any other mother to go through.
How old were your sons?
They were 22 years young. 22 years young.
We're going to come back and talk about how you found the strength to step beyond that now and to make a difference. All right? Betty Wilson.
Hi. Thanks for having me here today. This is pretty fresh for me. My son was killed October 5th of 2012. So it's been 5 months. And I was at home the night he was killed and got a phone call from my daughter, had sent the police to my house because they had been trying to reach me for 2 hours. And I listened to the message, and there were like 20 calls on my phone. And so the officer said, your daughter's trying to reach you. Give her a call. So I turned my phone on and looked at it, and there were so many messages there, so many missed calls. And I listened to her message, and it just still rings in my ear today.
What was the message?
She said, Mom, you need to come to East Palo Alto. Mom, come. She said, something's happened to Maine. They won't let me back to sea.
Oh.
She was already there. They had the tape drawn, and they wouldn't let her, go into the crime scene.
So what did you do?
She was concerned about him, whether or not he was still alive, and wanted, to be with him.
So what did you do? Did you go?
So I got in my car, and I was praying, oh God, please don't let this be. My God, my son has been saved from so many other incidences. He's had brain surgery. He's had hip fractures where he was in a car accident, and the grace of God has just covered him. And so I'm like, oh God, no, this can't be. And I get there, and the officer, he was so gracious to me. He said, your son, Lonnie Brown? And I said, yes. I said, is that him? He said, yes. He said, ma'am, I'm so sorry.
This was an East Palo Alto police officer?
East Palo Alto police officer. He said, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I knew your son. He was a good kid. This shouldn't have happened to him. That is the only thing I remember from that night. So we stayed out there while the forensic people came. We stood all night until the morning, until the coroners finally took him away. And my life has never been the same since.
I'm so sorry.
I cannot explain the pain except that if you've ever had food poisoning and it wrenches your entire body, right? It just permeates down to the core of your soul. It hurts so bad.
Can't even begin.
It was my only son, the youngest of my 3 children, had enrolled back in college, wanted to do some positive things with young people.
How old was Lon?
He was 25. And he wanted to be an athletic trainer as well. And we miss him so much. Even though he was the baby. He was the big brother and looked up to his sisters.
Thank you for sharing this with us. I can see how hard it is. I can just see it. Thank you. Alfreda, what is the story of your son?
My son Terrence, who was my only child, was murdered in Oakland on February 19, 2011. He was sitting in his car right next to a church at 62nd and Hilton. He had a female in the car with him when two people walked up and opened fire on the car, killing them both. My son was dead for almost 24 hours before I found out about it. I was watching television Saturday night, watching the news. And it was just a weird day for me, and I didn't know why until that point. But I was getting ready to turn the TV off, and something told me to keep it on for a few more minutes when they identified him as a 31-year-old Redwood City man and his 27-year-old girlfriend from Oakland. And then they showed his car all shot up, with the back windshield shot up.
And that's when you knew?
And that's when I knew. There was no one in the house but me and my 18-month-old grandbaby. And my first thought was, no, that's not him, that's not him, that's not him. But I could read the license plate on the car. It was that good of a picture. And so I grabbed, the first instinct was to call his cell phone, which immediately went to voicemail. And so then I called Oakland Police, who gave me the number to the coroner's office. And after a few minutes, he finally went ahead and he told me that it was, in fact, my child. Well, the first thing he asked me was if I had anyone in the house with me, so he didn't have to say any more after that, really. But I never got a call, I never got a knock on the door. He told me that the ID and the visual matched and that I could just start planning his funeral. It took them a week and a half to release his body after that because they said that they were waiting for fingerprint matches, but they had left a party, tons of people out there, and of course, no one knew who was responsible for doing this.
Nobody saw anything.
No one
right?
saw anything, or what they saw, they couldn't even identify the nationality. It was just, you know, like two people walked up, did this, and walked away.
That brings me to a question for each of you, and then we're going to talk about the reason why you're here and also the reason that I find each of you absolutely amazing and heroic. So the question before that is, has the person or persons who murdered your sons been caught?
No.
Alfreda? No?
No.
Betty?
No.
Lorraine?
No, the guy that allegedly murdered my boys is in jail after he murdered 2 other people for kidnap and robbery, and he's trying to get out again. My sons were working on a car when this guy used an AK-47 and took their lives. And
he's in custody, but he's not charged with the murder of your sons.
He's not charged with any murders.
Right.
They were not able to connect him to the crime scene, according to Lieutenant Ursi. Well, at the time, he was Sergeant Ursi Journer, who was the homicide investigator.
So this brings us to 1,000 mothers to prevent violence.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So you are each members. Lorraine, you're
Yes.
the founder.
Yes.
What is this organization?
Well, our mission is to ease the detrimental impact of violence on homicide victim survivors long after the funeral. As you know, it's indescribable, the pain. There is no greater pain for a mother to lose her child. It's just not the same anymore. I could sense the Holy Spirit saying to me one day, Lorraine, you can lie here and die here, or you can get up and live. I was very depressed. And I said, Lord, I want to live. He said, you're not the only one. There are many mothers out there who are suffering in silence. Go see about them. And so I did. I knocked on doors and found mothers who were doing worse than me. Some were attempting to take their lives. Some were drowning in alcohol and drugs. My faith in Jesus got me up out of the bed. And I started the organization so that we could provide practical, ongoing, compassionate, supportive services for families like Alfreda and Betty.
So what do you do? What does this organization do?
We have several programs. The main program is our COPE support group, where we meet in Oakland every second and fourth Saturday, in East Palo Alto on the third Saturday, where Frida will be facilitating the support group. We have our advocacy, where we advocate on behalf of the families. Coming up is our morning Mother's Day walk, where we will raise awareness to the ongoing impact of violence and also try and get more resources to keep our programs going.
And where's the Mother's Day walk? Where's that
The
going to
Mother's
be?
Day walk is going to be at the San Leandro Marina on June 8th, which happens to be my twin son's birth date.
Oh my goodness.
This is the first year that we have done anything on their birth date, simply because the park is under construction during Mother's Day when we normally have it, and June 8th is the very next Saturday. So we're hoping everyone can come and walk in solidarity with us, and we don't want you to walk in our shoes, but just walk with us.
Well, so do you all deal with the mothers or families of the perpetrators of the violence as well?
I have not had the opportunity to meet or deal with any families of shooters.
Well, not to your knowledge, because in our support group, we have families who are victims as well as perpetrators in the family.
Okay.
I can name a few.
Okay.
So tell us about the support groups. What happens and who meets? What is it like?
We talk, we share.
And the we is who?
The mothers.
And these are mothers who have lost children to gun violence?
Gun violence. And it's all been, so far, gun violence in the support group meeting that I facilitate. We talk, we each tell our stories. We each talk about where we're going, how we feel. Some families are struggling financially. We try to steer them in the right direction to get some financial assistance, you know. And it's helped me because a lot of people aren't comfortable with you talking about your loss. You haven't experienced it, and it's only because they don't know how to react or how to respond to you. Right. The support group is
so having
perfect.
People together, it really
people
works.
Together, and you know, so it's helped. It's been therapeutic for me as well.
You know, as we bring our conversation to a close, I want to take the time now to ask each of you what is your message? What one message do you have for all of our viewers? Lorraine?
Well, we have fathers in the support group. We have siblings in the support group. Violence impacts all of us in different ways, and we want the viewers to know that you don't have to suffer in silence, that we are here to help you. And for the children, obey your parents, and parents, pay attention to your children. If you see that there is a mental illness and there is a gun in the house, get the gun out of the house. And to those people who know something, speak up. It doesn't mean that you're weak because you speak. It's a sign of strength, actually.
Thank you, Lorraine. Betty, what's your message to the viewers?
My message would be a message of hope. It is only by the grace of God that I'm even sitting here. When I came into this through a revelation that someone needs to stand up and step up and stand in the gap. Stand in the gap on behalf of the victims and the perpetrators. And that's what we do. These are our sons. Whether your son is one who is slain or whether your son is the one who is doing the slaying. And the pain is the same. Right. There's no different pain, and there's no greater pain. So mothers, impact your children by being there for them, directing them in the right directions, encouraging them.
Thank you. Thank you, Betty. Alfreda, what's your message?
I think my message would be to stop the street justice, the retaliation, because it just continues. You don't realize how many people you're hurting. The person that you've killed, they're no longer suffering. You've got families, you've got children, you've got parents, grandparents, you've got hundreds of people that you don't even know that you've hurt through this. You need to start speaking up.
Nice.
The code of silence is a killer.
Thank you. You know, thank you all for what you do, and thank you for joining us on Make the Call.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
You know, it's one thing to whine and complain about the gun violence in our city, and it's another thing to step up and do something about it. Now, these three courageous women could have chosen to do nothing, They chose otherwise. If they can stand up after losing their children, how can you not speak up and make the call? Please make the call now, 1-888-MURDER-0, or go to Make the Call website, www.makethecalltv.com, and leave your tip anonymously. Let's take a final look at the two profiles of the murder victims we featured on the program. Edmund Beverly, shot and killed on June 24, 2012, and Ernesto Valverde, killed on January 29, 2011. You've heard from their families, you've witnessed their suffering. They are pleading for your help to bring the killers of Edmund and Ernesto to justice. It's time to man up and woman up. Protect your city and stop the violence. It's on you now to make the call, 1-888-MURDER-0, or text a tip to 650-409-6792, or go to the Make the Call website at www.makethecalltv.com and leave your tip anonymously. No one should get away with murder. With your help, no one will.
For us to stand together as one
call, y'all. We can't be afraid, we praying for better days. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It ain't up to the police, it's up to you and me to make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. It's a difference from snitching and being a concerned citizen. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. The streets stay violent if we remain silent. So make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all. We can't be afraid, we praying for better days. Make the call, y'all. Make the call, y'all.
Make the call. No one should get away with murder.